with the Bias Plus reports. You got your opinions ready, Mr. Dickerson?
Yes, I do.
Here's your first. Thursday night, Patriots at Rams. Bias Plus score 38 favors the Rams. Makes sense. 38 is not big. Split out over, what's this now, the 14th week. So out of 13, 13 and the 38 will bring you down to a little over 3 points a game. So it's not much.
No.
It's not much, but it favors the Rams. And the Patriots are finding their Patriot way.
Well, let's get through some numbers here and look at how these teams did the previous week. First of all, the Patriots won big. They beat the Chargers 45-0. Cam Newton was 12 of 19, 69 yards and 1 touchdown. That doesn't sound like much, and actually it wasn't much, but he didn't have to do much through the air. He ran the ball 14 times, 48 yards. It's pretty strong for a quarterback. He scored 2 TDs on the ground. This is the crazy thing. Once they get in close, everybody kind of knows that Cam's going to get the ball, and he scores anyway. The guy's so big, so talented. As long as the line gives him a crease, he can get in there. So he's the biggest red zone threat they've got on that team. It's not a receiver. It's not a running back. It's Cam. Damian Harris did his thing. He was the top rusher. He had 16 carries for 80 yards. So they pretty much controlled this game from the outset. The big deal was their defense. Let me look what we got here. 3 sacks, 2 interceptions. This is against the Chargers, remember. A team that I picked to win this game, okay, mainly because of the success that Justin Herbert's been having. Justin Herbert has been fantastic this year. He's thrown over 300 yards almost every single week, multiple touchdowns every single week. The guy's playing great, could possibly be the offensive rookie of the year, and they were completely shut down. 3 sacks, 2 interceptions. The Patriots defense blocked a field goal and ran it back for a touchdown, and they returned a punt for a touchdown. Tremendous job. And early on, we talked about the Patriots defense, and we were expecting them to be one of the better defenses. They were, and then they weren't, and now they are again, okay? They jumped all over the Chargers. That coach, his hot seat just got a little hotter. I'm telling you, it's when you take a loss like that way, they were completely beat down. That's rough. So the Patriots may be back. Watch out, Buffalo Bills. Now, their opponent on Thursday night is going to be the LA Rams, a team in your division. Now, Jared Goff, people are getting on Jared Goff lately. The Rams did win the game, 38-28. They played the Cardinals. Goff was 37 of 47, 351 yards, but he only threw for 1 touchdown. And I think, if I remember correctly, he's only thrown for 1 touchdown maybe over the last 3 weeks. So he's not being real impressive through the air, but he is racking up yardage. So that means they're moving the chains. He's completing passes, but it's mostly short stuff, intermediate stuff, no real big time bombs or whatever. But he's got a lot of, I don't want to say none of his receivers are long ball guys, but they kind of aren't. I mean, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, they're all kind of medium range guys. So they're playing within themselves, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Cam Akers, and this is funny too, that running back situation is crazy. They got 3 running backs. They start a different one every game. One guy fumbles, they put somebody else in. One guy doesn't get any yardage, they put in another guy. It's all over the place. But I think that Cam Akers is finally ready to take this thing over. Now, Cam Akers had 21 carries for 72 yards, and he did score a touchdown. So I am really, really leaning really hard toward the Patriots in this game because they were so impressive with that win last week against the Chargers. But the Chargers and the Rams are like night and day. The Rams have a much better defense than the Chargers, which means that game script won't be as easy as it was last week for Cam. Also, I read that the Patriots did not fly back home after the Chargers game. They stayed in LA. They might be on to something. I'm going to go with the Patriots. I think I smell a little Belichick magic going on here.
Well, it's interesting that both teams are so close defensively. Rams coming in 5th and the Patriots coming in 7th now. Rams obviously are more efficient offense. They are 17th. Patriots are 23rd. So the Patriots are going to have to score some offense. If there's one word I would use to describe the Rams from what I've seen in most cases, it's efficient. They're pretty efficient. And
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Going with the Patriots going against the bias, kicking off the Thursday night game. Kind of gangster there, mister. Let's see. Deshaun Trubisky. Bias plus score favors Deshaun and the Texans. This could be an interesting game. Only because you've got two teams that, neither one of them are dominant, but, some interesting talents on both sides. As I look at the Texans, they're 18th on offense and 24th on defense. The Bears are 28th on offense and 12th on defense. So although they're defensively better, the Texans have given up a few less points, minus 35. The Bears are minus 38 in net points, and consequently, favor goes to the Texans. Both teams, however, are operating out of the negative in terms of net points.
Yeah, both defenses are a bit challenged, although on the surface, I think most people would say that the Bears defense is better, better than the Texans. They both lost last week. Let's go over the Texans first. They lost to the Colts 26-20. Deshaun was 26 of 38. Deshaun had a good game. 26 of 38, 341 yards. He didn't throw any touchdowns, and he did throw one interception. He also carried the ball 7 times for 38 yards, and he did score on the ground. We were concerned. I know I was concerned about him losing Will Fuller. It's one thing you trade away DeAndre Hopkins. Then Will Fuller comes in, plays really well, seems to have almost bridged the gap, between not having the top receiver and really going to tank as good as Deshaun is. And Will Fuller was getting the job done. Then he goes out for PEDs. So who steps up? Kiki QT. And a guy named Chad Hansen off the practice squad. They both, Kiki QT had 141 yards in receiving that game. And Chad Hansen, the practice squad guy, had 101. So if you could catch and you can run routes, Deshaun Watson will find you. That's how good he is. Okay. But just as good as he is, then we look at the other side and we have Mitch Trubisky. They lost to the Lions 34-30. They were winning the game. And late in the game, it was time to Trubisky it up. Took a sack. He fumbled. The Lions recovered. They drove. They scored. They won. It's a mess. Trubisky probably won't start another game unless Foles gets hurt again. I'm pretty sure Foles is on deck to play this week coming up.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. As long as he's healthy, I'm sure he'll be in there. Matt Nagy, the head coach, is on the hot seat. Their GM is on the hot seat. This is not what they were expecting in Chicago. Yeah, they're in bad shape. I'm going to go with the Texans on this one. I think they're going to go into Chicago, and Deshaun's going to put on a show. And even if the Bears hang in there and make it a good game, they'll somehow blow it at the end. I'm taking the Texans.
Going with the bias on this one. All right. Cowboys Going into Cincinnati to see the Bengals. Bias plus score of 60 favors the Bengals. It doesn't even sound right, does it? Bengals favorite over the Cowboys.
That does sound, yeah, it sounds crazy until you take 2 seconds and think about it and go, well, yeah.
I mean, let's face it, the Cowboys had a negative 125 net points for the season so far. The Bengals are negative 71. So they're better than the Cowboys. And
Unbelievable.
so, yeah, and what made it even worse, the Cowboys are even worse on turnover differential. Still, both are negative. The Cowboys are minus 13 and the Bengals are minus 7. So unless Mr. Dalton, Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle, unless he has something up his sleeve, he can get this thing rolling. They could be in trouble. Cowboys still are. Is it still the last defense? 32nd. There you go. Last defense in the league. So
Wow.
60 bias plus score favors the Bengals. Who you got?
Their defense is beyond horrendous. It's awful. And the crazy thing is, the offense played fairly well against the Ravens, considering that they were playing the Ravens. They lost 34-17 only because they just can't stop anybody. It's insane. Andy Dalton played well. He was 31-48, season high, 285 yards. He threw for 2 touchdowns. He did have 1 interception. I'm going with the Cowboys in this game against Cincinnati. Cincinnati lost to the Dolphins 19-7. Didn't sound that bad, but they were pretty thoroughly outplayed. Brandon Allen threw the ball fairly well, but he went down with a chest injury, which means now they're back to that guy named Finley or whatever. Andy Dalton can beat him. Neither defense has anything really to brag about. I know the Cowboys defense is really bad, but the Bengals defense isn't much better. I'm going to go with the Cowboys. I'm going to go with the better offense with a steadier quarterback.
Next week, the Cowboys play my Niners. That ought to be interesting. Okay. Going with the bias, going with the Bengals, right? I did hear
I'm
that,
going
right?
against the bias, and I'm going with the Cowboys.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking ahead and not listening. You're going with the Cowboys. With that, didn't you just talk about their defense like a dog?
Yes, I did. I talk about the Bengals defense like a dog too.
Well, it's not as bad on the rankings. Who's quarterback in the Bengals?
His last name is Finley. I can't remember his first name offhand. He was the first guy to come in when Burrow first got hurt, and they immediately benched him and brought Brandon Allen up from the practice squad. Brandon Allen's the guy that played some games in Denver a few years ago. But now, and Brandon Allen played well. I mean, if you have T. Higgins or Tyler Boyd in fantasy, they've been racking up numbers. Brandon Allen's no slouch. He's not Joe Burrow, but he's not a slouch. But now he's injured. So that means we got to go back to Finley.
Okay. All right. Cowboys, going with the Cowboys. Next up, Chiefs at Dolphins. This has the makings of an intriguing game. Bias plus score of 29. It's not the biggest bias plus of the weekend. That's for darn, Skippy. But it favors the Chiefs as we would expect.
Yeah, as we would expect. They got to go on the road. I swear, it seems like the Chiefs play at home every week. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
No, they're at the Dolphins this week.
Yeah, I know they're at the Dolphins this week, but that's what that's what I was going to say. They're at the Dolphins this week, which is a good thing for the Dolphins because it just seems like when they're in Arrowhead, nobody has a chance. But they beat the Broncos 22-16 last week in a game that was much tougher and much closer than people would have wanted to think it would be. Mahomes was not great at all, actually. 25 of 40. Did have 318 yards. He threw for 1 touchdown. Now, here's the crazy thing. He actually threw for 3 touchdowns. One of them got called back for holding. The other one, Tyreek Hill actually caught the ball, came off the field. I don't know if he didn't notice that they didn't go out to kick an extra pointer. I don't know what the heck was going on. He runs to Andy Reid and says, hey, I caught that. And the next thing you know, they're punting. I don't know what happened there, but they showed the replay several times. He caught that ball. That ball never touched the ground. So they basically, I'm not even going to say they decided not to challenge. I think they blew their chance to challenge that play. And it wasn't automatically reviewed because it wasn't a scoring play because the referees thought the ball touched the ground. So they called it incomplete. So they just missed that touchdown completely. So that was bad luck on their part. The Dolphins played pretty well against the Bengals. Not great. I think they would have played better, and we've had this conversation, if Ryan Fitzpatrick was quarterbacking. Tua is not ready, but they seem to have cast their lot with Tua, and they're going to go with him come hell or high water. That's their guy. I know they want to make the playoffs. I know the players do. I know the coach does. But they've decided that Tua is their guy, win, lose, or draw. And if they don't make the playoffs because he doesn't play well enough and they lose games down the stretch, they won't have anybody to blame but themselves. The organization, I mean, not the players. Not the players. They won the game because Myles Gaskins carried the ball 21 times for 90 yards, and he caught 2 passes for 51 yards. So he moved the sticks. He kept them going. He pretty much got the job done. Along with their defense, they had 6 sacks and 2 interceptions. Also, here's another thing, and this is kind of a fantasy nugget, but it's kind of not, because now the Dolphins are going to have some tougher games coming up. But I've been riding Jason Sanders, their kicker, for the last 4 weeks. This guy kicks 3-4 field goals a week. He kicks long ones. He's made several 50-yarders. He's awesome, man. This is an awesome kicker. Now, I don't know if he's going to do that well this week, but he got me like 12 points. You get 12 points from a kicker in fantasy. That's awesome. So that being said, I'm going to go against the bias again. I'm going to pick the Dolphins to win this game against the Chiefs because I saw what the Broncos were able to accomplish last week, and I think the Dolphins can do even better this week. Keep it tight. Dolphins pull it out.
Interesting thing about the Dolphins this week, they are number 2 defensively, and the Chiefs are number 2 offensively.
That's good. I like that.
So that works in your behalf. So you're going with the Dolphins. You are a man on a mission. A man on a mission, I'm telling you. Just this mission to go against the bias. Well, how about this one?
Oh, you know.
Cardinals and Giants, the New York Football Giants, your beloved Giants. Bias plus score 67 favors the Cardinals. Another NFC West, NFC East matchup. Cardinals are coming in with a 9th ranked offense and a 14th ranked defense coming up against your Giants, who are a 30th ranked offense and a 9th ranked defense. So the 9th ranked defense against the 9th ranked offense. You guys just have to score some points, but the Cardinals haven't exactly been lighting up the scoreboard. All right, what you gonna do?
Well, I'll tell you, the Cardinals go as Kyler Murray goes. And right now, Kyler Murray ain't right. I said that last week, and I think I said it the week before that too, but I was really perplexed 2 weeks ago. but I blamed it on the shoulder injury. Last week, I could tell again things weren't quite right, although there's been some defensive adjustments made by the teams that are playing them to try to slow him down a little bit. His arm looks fine when he throws the ball. I'm starting to wonder if it's a mix between some different defensive looks and the fact that he's taking some really hard shots and he either doesn't want to run as much or is being advised not to. Either way, he didn't throw the ball really great. 21 for 39, only 173 yards. He got 3 touchdowns, but I think they were all really short throws, red zone throws. One was probably in garbage time. He had an interception. He just isn't. If he doesn't run the ball, they're just not the same team. Their running backs are good. Kenyon Drake is good. Edmonds is good. But they're not dominant rushers, which means they need him to add to their running game. And if he's not going to be able to do it, and they're not going to be able to ground out really good yardage, then that takes away his play action, and then he's in trouble. So that's how I look at the Cardinals, and I probably will continue to look at them that way, regardless of who they play coming down the stretch. Now, here's the way I look at the Giants. Colt McCoy ain't good. He's okay, but he ain't good. He is purely a backup quarterback, and I hope like heck that Daniel Jones is getting treatment on that hamstring and he can come back. Wayne Gallman carried them in the win over the Seahawks. A big win, too. Really big win, but dig the score. 17-12. We know our offense isn't that good. So 17 was expected. But giving up 12 to Russell Wilson and the Seahawks, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Giants defense, 5 sacks, 1 interception, 1 fumble recovery. All big. Take the Giants in this one. I don't see the Cardinals being able to handle that. I really don't. Giants defense is humming right now. Take the Giants.
Well, again, you have a situation where you've got a 9th-ranked Giants defense against a 9th-ranked Cardinals offense.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, your Giants are going to have to score some points. That's the number one issue with you guys. You're going against the biased again. Man, who you think you are? Buster Brown? Jeez. Cardinals at Giants. Okay. Vikings, Buccaneers. Bias plus score 82 favors the Buccaneers. Is Tom Brady tired of all of this mess? Is he going to come in here and put these Vikings in their place? I mean, it's funny. The Vikings seem to have been winning, but they're still in a negative net points, coming in 18th with -10. They're 12th on offense and 26th on defense. Buccaneers are coming in 6th on offense and 11th on defense. All right. Can your boy Kirk Cousins pull off the upset? That is the question.
Well, I'll tell you, they played a game against a bad team, Jacksonville, last week, and the score was much closer than it should have been, 27-24. But Kirk Cousins played well. He got off to a slow start. I'll give you that. He got off to a really slow start. But Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson are 2 of the most capable receivers on any team in the NFL. They're a great 1-2 punch together. And Kirk Cousins, it feels right at home throwing the ball to these guys. I must say, and I would have to actually go back and look at his stats from last year, I would say he's having a much better year throwing the ball this year than he did last. And, you know, Justin Jefferson has a lot to do with that. And if I remember correctly, Thielen was injured for most of last year. So, you know, I'll give him that. But he was 28 of 43, 305 yards. He threw for 3 touchdowns. And he did have 1 pick. Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook. Yeah. You got to talk about Dalvin Cook when you talk about the Vikings. 32 carries, 32 handoffs, 32. Derrick Henry, can you hear me? 120 yards. And he caught 6 balls for 59 yards. They just chipped away and chipped away and chipped away at the Jaguars. Because I don't think they did anything the first half. I had
the Jaguars were up during the
right. I was going to say I was looking at the box score of the game.
Yeah, especially after Kirk threw that pick 6.
Right. Jags came out and jumped on him early, and then he had to pick 6, but after that, they just went to work on him, man. So, the Vikings can't be ignored because their offense is so good. I don't want to say efficient because they've had their ups and downs, but skill-wise, they're really good. If anything, Cousins is the weak link. And like I said, he's playing really well. I don't know what to say about Tom Brady and these guys. They're coming off their bye week. I think we have another instance where after an embarrassing loss, he has to go back to the drawing board with Bruce Arians and Byron Leftwich and really figure out what he likes and doesn't like about this offense. Because I feel like when I'm watching him play, that there's certain parts of this offense that he's just not comfortable with. And I'm not going to say it's like throwing the ball deep, that no risk and no biscuit means bombs away and all that stuff, but it really doesn't. It just means we want to push the ball down the field. So yeah, the long ball has to be part of it. Brady can throw the long ball. He can throw the long ball. I mean, he's not gonna toss. Who threw that? Dalton threw it right before halftime.
Oh man!
Yeah, that ball went 60 yards in the air.
Yeah,
60 yards in the air and went right through CeeDee Lamb's hands. But we don't want to talk about it. My thing is, Tom Brady can still throw the ball, but I don't think the balance of the run pass balance is quite right. And I'm not so sure that their line is the best pass blocking line that it should be when you have a quarterback like Brady, who doesn't roll out a lot. He's nimble in the pocket, but once he gets in trouble, he really can't get out of it. I would lean toward the Buccaneers in this one since they're coming off the bye, and I think they've been back in the lab and figured things out. But I'm not. I'm going to take Kirk Cousins and Dalvin Cook, and I'm going to ride with them. Yeah, I'm taking the Vikings in this one. Going against the bias again.
Again, man. What can I tell you about that? Okay, all right. Going against the bias against the Bucks. And I did notice 11th ranked defense for the Bucks, 12th ranked offense for the Vikings.
Close again.
I know. All right, Broncos, Panthers. This actually should be a good game. Drew Lock is back for the Broncos. Am I correct?
Yes, he is.
So, and I've been playing a little Madden. I'm playing with some different teams just to kind of get an idea, just to see what it's like to play with. I thought about it. I was like, I'm kind of, by playing only with the Niners, I'm kind of denying myself the experience of playing with like a Kyler Murray, or Deshaun Watson, or a Teddy Bridgewater. I actually kind of like the Panthers a little bit. So, you got C-Mac in the backfield there, that you can do a lot with. But 96 is the bias plus score favoring the Panthers over the Broncos. Who you got?
Yeah.
Both negative net points also. Both negative net points. Go ahead.
Both of them are negative net points, and Drew Lock did not throw the ball that well against the Chiefs, although they did battle the Chiefs before losing 22-16. But it was more of the Broncos defense really seemed like shutting down the Chiefs' run game. Now, Clyde Edwards-Helaire did not play. He did suit up for the game, but they didn't put him in. He had a little injury, or I might be mixing him up with somebody else. Somebody had a stomach virus or something. But anyway, he did suit up. He did not play. Le'Veon Bell did most of the work on the ground, and he did very little work. The Broncos defense was all over the run game. That meant that in order for them to win this game, it had to go on Mahomes. So you go, oh, it's Mahomes, no big deal. Yeah, well, he did okay. But the bottom line is that game was way closer than it should have been. And I thought the Broncos defense played really well. Now, the Panthers are also coming off the bye. It's a good thing, too, because at the end of their last game, I think they played the Vikings, in fact, Teddy Bridgewater's arm was hanging off by a thread as he ran off the field. So I haven't heard any reports about his injury yet, but I'm going to assume since they had a week off that he's going to be okay and good to go. I'm going to go with the Panthers in this one. I think the Panthers defense is going to be a little bit better against the Broncos. I know they're good against the run, and the Broncos have Melvin Gordon. I think they'll probably try to shut down the run and make Drew Lock beat them, and I don't think he's going to be able to do that. Also, Christian McCaffrey is supposed to be back. Although I just read something, I'm getting ready to put him in my starting lineup on my fantasy team, and they said he's got another injury. I'm like, what do you do? Fall down the steps? He's got some kind of thigh injury. I don't know what the heck is wrong with him. But anyway, he's supposed to start, so that'll be good. DJ Moore's got COVID, so I don't think he's going to be able to play. Curtis Samuel had COVID, but I think he's off, so he'll be able to play. And Robbie Anderson should be good. So he'll have almost all of his targets, and Christian McCaffrey will make a big, big difference. Good as the Denver defense did against the Chiefs, they're not going to stop C-Mac. So take the Panthers.
Yeah, the Panthers have a better offense. They are actually, in terms of that offensive-defensive matchup, Panthers coming in 21st offensively, Broncos coming in 21st defensively. We're getting a lot of that in these matchups here.
Yeah, really.
It's a little crazy. Okay, so you're going with the Panthers here.
Yes, sir.
Titans at Jaguars. Bias plus 150 favors the Titans in this one. Titans third on offense, 25th on defense. Jaguars 27th on offense, 29th on defense. All right. You going to stick your neck out here anywhere?
This was a crazy game. This is a crazy game. I took the Titans confidently over the Browns. And boy, was I wrong. They were down 38-7 at halftime. 38-7. It's crazy. Baker Mayfield, I don't know what he had for breakfast, but they were having their way. And again, we talked earlier about the Titans defense. They're weird, man. They look so good one week. They look so bad another week. It's insane. So they're down 38-7 at halftime. Ryan Tannehill finally gets to work. He is 29-45, which isn't great, but he did throw for 389 yards. He scored 3 touchdowns. He threw 1 pick. The problem was they couldn't get Derrick Henry on track. Derrick Henry only rushed for 60 yards. That's a problem. They have to have Derrick Henry. They can win if Derrick Henry does his thing and Tannehill's okay. But they're hard-pressed to win if Tannehill has to play lights out if Derrick Henry doesn't get his normal 120, 130, 140 yards. And that's what happened. They fell behind. They tried to come back. They lost 41-35. It was a great game to watch, but it was tough on the Titans. I have nothing to say about the Jaguars, so just take the Titans.
going with the bias. There you go. Colts at Raiders. Bias plus score 88 favors the Colts. Now the Colts are 10th on offense. The Raiders are 11th on offense, but the Colts are 10th on defense, and the Raiders are 28th on defense. Consequently, Colts. Who you got?
I got the Colts. Phillip Rivers hasn't been especially exciting, but he gets the job done. He's the greatest game manager ever. They played the Texans last week. They won the game 26-20. 27-35, 285 yards, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. Very important for a guy like Phillip Rivers, who doesn't move well at all in or out of the pocket. If he even gets out of the pocket, it's a miracle. That guy is so slow and so slow of foot. After a couple of weeks of Nyheim Hines being the number one running back, Jonathan Taylor has taken that job back over again. He had 13 carries for 91 yards. He caught the ball 3 times for 44 yards, and he had a pass-catching touchdown. I really like the Colts. The Raiders, another weird team, look really good one week, look really bad another week. Derek Carr looks great when he plays against Kansas City, looks terrible when he plays against the Jets. Unbelievable. They only won that game because Greg Williams decided that he was going to send an all-out blitz and lock up man-to-man on the outside at the end of the game. But kudos to Derek Carr for recognizing it, making sure that the offense realized it was an all-out blitz, go maximum protection, and take his one-on-one matchup and throw a perfect pass and score and win the game. He had to do all those things to make it work. The fact that they just all-out blitz and went man-to-man, we say it's dumb because it didn't work. It didn't work because Derek Carr recognized it. He called the correct protection. He threw a perfect ball, and he had a fast receiver, and he caught it, and he ran it in. If he drops that ball, if Derek Carr gets sacked, everybody's calling Greg Williams a hero. But well, Jets fans won't like it because they're trying to get they're trying to get the number one pick. But you know what I mean? So I have to give more credit to Derek Carr than I give the sour look to Greg Williams because he's a knucklehead anyway. But besides that, just take the Colts and be done with it. I cannot trust the Raiders. Cannot.
Not to be trusted. Not to be trusted. I hear you. Well, after talking so much about the Jets, they now have to go visit Seattle and the Seahawks with the highest bias plus score of the weekend. I do believe. Let me take a quick look here. Where's my sheet at? Jimmy Christmas. Yeah, that's it. The highest bias plus of the weekend. There's a few big ones, but this is it. Favoring the Seahawks, 207 is the bias plus score. Favoring the Seahawks. Jets, 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 trying to tank for
Trevor.
Jeez. All right, who you got?
First of all, if I'm Trevor, I'm pulling a John Elway. I ain't showing up.
Well, maybe by the end of the season they will have fired the coach, and he can at least see some new blood coming in. Some of the new coaches have come in and made a big difference. Lots of new faces on the coaching front, including guys who got replaced mid-season.
They need a lot more than just the coach, but I don't want to talk a whole lot about this game because I have Russell Wilson as my quarterback in my main fantasy league, and I need him to put up some numbers for me. I want the Seahawks to win. I expect the Seahawks to win. I'm picking the Seahawks to win, but this is a scary game. After watching them the last couple of weeks, this game's kind of scary, but take the Seahawks.
All righty, there you go. Take the Seahawks. Next up, Packers. My man Arth with the fadeaway deep pass at the Lions, who are just fading away. Bias plus score 158 favors the Packers with the number one scoring offense and the 15th defense. There's your Packers right there.
Okay, this is an easy one. And I know I usually say that when somebody's playing the Eagles, as I did last week when they played the Eagles and pretty much slaughtered them 30-16. The Packers are really cruising. Rodgers had great numbers, 25 of 34, very efficient, 295 yardage, 3 touchdowns. He's thrown for multiple touchdowns multiple times. He threw his 400th career passing touchdown. And Aaron Jones is cooking, 15 carries, 130 yards, 1 touchdown. He had one really long run. I forget how long it was, but it was a great run. It was a great run. Some of the Eagles looked like they were making some business decisions out there. People are questioning whether these guys even really want to even play anymore. It was pretty sad. So take the Packers confidently. The Lions, although they got a win last week, which is good for them, but they already fired their coach. So, it's good for the interim, whoever that is. But, yeah, they don't stand a chance against the Packers. Forget about it.
Forget about it, he says. Okay. Saints at Eagles. I'll let you mention all this drama going on with the Eagles, but the bias plus score of 180 favors the Saints. Saints coming in with the 5th ranked offense and the 4th ranked defense. Eagles with the 26th ranked offense and the 19th ranked defense. So, ergo, Saints. Who you got?
Take the Saints. The Eagles are not going to be able to stop anything that the Saints do. And the Saints defense is just too good for what's going on in Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts is supposed to start for the Eagles. He came in when Wentz got benched last week. He threw a touchdown pass, in fact. He looked
a nice one.
Yeah, he looked okay. He threw a few good balls. He threw a couple bad ones too, but he threw a few good balls. He seemed to be comfortable with the plays that they called for him. So now they're going to have to expand that playbook for him a little bit and see what he comes out with this week. Again, sometimes when you get a new quarterback, especially a young guy, and the team hasn't had a chance to look at a lot of film on him, the guy ends up having a little success early on. But the Saints defense is really good. I expect that they will throw some things at him that even his coaches have not been able to prepare him for. And that's going to spell doom for them. The Eagles just seem to have decided that they're not going to run the ball. If you don't run the ball against the Packers' weak run defense, and you don't run the ball against whoever that was they played the week before, who probably had an even weaker run defense. I was baffled that game he only had 6 carries. That was ridiculous. So you just going to shut Miles Sanders down. You just paying him for nothing? Are you kidding me? He's not even the best pass protector on your team. Corey Clement is a better pass protector than Sanders is. You might as well just leave him on the sideline. It's ridiculous. Take the Saints all day.
Now, the Saints are coming in with Taysom Hill.
Yes, they're coming in with Taysom Hill. There's a possibility that Drew Brees will be ready in week 15, which would be the following week.
Okay. All right. So the Taysom Hill-led Saints are still better than the Jalen Hurts-led Eagles, based on you and the Bias Plus report.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, let me say, because I was going to skip over this, but let's say that since you said that. He's got some games under his belt now. And at first, people were saying, well, he's kind of messing up Kamara because he runs the ball a lot and he's dinking and dunking and this and that. And he's only throwing the ball like 20 times, 18 times. So he had some real quarterback stats in this last game against the Falcons. They won the game 21-16. He was 27 and 37. That's real quarterback numbers. So Taysom Hill is getting better. Okay, 232 yards, and he threw 2 touchdown passes. So Taysom Hill, turns out, is a pretty viable quarterback, at least for their team.
All right, there you go. Go on with the Saints.
Not good news for Jameis, but
yeah, that's true too. Falcons at Chargers. Bias plus score 85 favors the new Falcons. These Falcons are climbing up the latter. They are, what's that? 15th ranked net points with +9. They were firmly in the negative at one point. Now they're 14th and 17th on offense and defense, respectively. Chargers are still trying to get it together. Your boy Justin Herbert, 22nd on offense, 27th on defense for the Chargers. I know you like them, but you're going to go against the Falcons in this one?
Well, first of all, after that whooping that New England put on the Chargers last week, they have nowhere to go but up. That was crazy, man. They got slaughtered. But Matt Ryan was pretty lackluster last week against the Saints. 19 of 39, 273 yards, only 1 touchdown. So obviously the Chargers defense is nowhere near as good as the Saints defense is. So what I'm predicting for this game is a pretty good shootout. Should be high scoring. Both quarterbacks should go over 300 yards passing. Both quarterbacks should throw multiple touchdowns. I think the Chargers will win because they have, believe it or not, the better running game. Austin Eckler is back, and Austin Eckler is a beast. He can run it. He can catch it. I was about to say he can throw it. He can run it. He can catch it. Maybe he can throw it too. I don't know. But I think he might be the difference. The defenses will not be the difference. I don't see either of these defenses being that much better than the other. On paper, probably the Falcons are the better defense. But the Chargers got a lot of firepower. They're going to take it to them. This should be a really good game and a high-scoring game. I'm going to go with the Chargers.
How about you? Are you up to like 5 or 6 now? You've gone against the bias?
Something like that.
You're on a roll here, dude. You're on a roll. Okay, here you go. The Washington football team at Levi Stadium visited my beloved. Hold it. Wrong side. Now my chest hurts. 49ers, bias plus score of 8. A lowly 8-ball favors the football team from Washington. Man, Jimmy Christmas. Okay. What you got?
Wow. Let me get this out of the way, okay? Nick Mullins, 26 of 39, 316 yards, his first 300-yard game, by the way. 3 touchdown passes, but he threw 2 interceptions. Now, they were playing the Buffalo Bills. So I'm going to give him a little, I'm going to give him, it was the Buffalo Bills, Those aren't terrible numbers, but the turnovers are killing him. He's got 9 interceptions, and he's played in 8 games, either full-time started or part-time. And in those 8 games, he's thrown 9 interceptions. That's not good. And the crazy thing is he's getting all his playmakers back. He's got Ayuk. He's got Debo. He's got everybody back but Kittle. I mean, Tevin Coleman's going to be back soon. This is crazy. But Nick Mullins is a liability for you guys, man. That's not good at all. On the other hand, Alex Smith, once again, gets it done. 31 of 46, 296 yards, through 1 touchdown, no turnovers. No turnovers. And here's the crazy thing. Antonio Gibson, the rookie running back for Washington, has been playing extremely well. He's way high up in the running back rankings. The guy's playing great, but he hurts his toe. At first they said it was his knee, but I think he's actually got a toe injury. I hope it's not turf toe because that can kill a career. But he's got a bad toe, and it's bad enough where it looks like he might not play. Now, when he went out, J.D. McKissick came in. J.D. McKissick doesn't run the ball from scrimmage as well as Gibson does, but that cat can run routes. You can line him up wide, and he catches the ball. He got 10 targets and caught all 10 of them for 70 yards and helped Washington win that game. I am going with the bias, and I am picking Washington to beat your 49ers.
Hey, they're definitely favored, and like you said, Nick Mullins is questionable. Last week, Josh Allen wound up being, I think, Player of the Week off that performance against my Niners. So I was impressed, and apparently so was the league. All right, this looks like a fun one,
Dude,
and
this has to be your intriguing game. It has to be.
this is it.
This is it.
And this is a Sunday night game, so we get to see the whole game. Bias plus score of 112, however, favors the Steelers here, coming with the 7th ranked offense and the #1 defense in terms of points. The Bills are coming in with the 8th ranked offense and the 13th ranked defense. But the Steelers just gave up the ghost. They just gave up the
They
ghost.
gave up the ghost and they gave it up to the Washington football team. And I've been praising Washington. They've been playing well. I like what they're doing on offense. I love their D-line. The secondary is not terrible. These guys are playing hard for Ron Rivera, and they're making the NFC East extremely interesting. But the Steelers were undefeated, and they lost to Washington. And it was 23-17. And Roethlisberger, I don't want to say he was terrible, but when you listen to these numbers, 33 of 53, that's not good, bro. 305 basically empty yards. He threw 2 touchdown passes. He had an interception. He had multiple balls knocked down. And he had multiple drop passes. And this is the second week in a row where they had multiple drop passes by their wide receivers and tight ends. And Washington shut their run game down. Now, granted, James Conner did not play. He was on the COVID list. But Jalen Samuels and Snell, those guys got to do better than that. If Conner can't play again this week, they're going to be in big trouble. In fact, they're going to be in trouble anyway because Josh Allen and the Bills are hot right now. They're really starting to feel it, and they're really, really playing well. Josh was 32 of 40 against the Niners, whose defense is, you just got Sherman back. I thought you guys were pretty good, but he went to work on you. 32 of 40, 375 yards, and he threw 4 touchdown passes. That's another reason why I can't take the 49ers. You guys are giving up too much through the air. But, take the Bills. The Bills will beat the Steelers. The Steelers will take their second loss. Watch out for the Browns. You know what? I might.
For the Browns. Oh, because.
I was about to go on a limb and say, you know what? I'm taking the Browns to win the division. If the Browns beat the Ravens, I think the Browns play the Ravens again, right? The Browns beat the Ravens. They can win the division easily.
Anything's possible. Anything's possible. I was just trying to look at week 15 to see who the Browns play. Where's Cleveland at?
Oh, wait. That's the next game.
Is that the next game? No. Week 15?
No. This week. It's the Monday night game.
The next game. Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's the Monday night game.
All right, so we're going with the Bills on this one, right?
Yes, sir.
You're all juiced up about it. Let's go there. Ravens at Browns. Bias plus score 96 favors the Ravens. The Ravens, Benny.
Well, sir. So the Ravens beat the Cowboys. Whoopie-doo, 34-17. How did they do it? Lamar Jackson only threw the ball 17 times for 107 yards. He did throw 2 touchdowns. And again, the Ravens are a running team. They are a running team. That's what they do. That's what they do best. I saw him throw some balls in the dirt. They look like Donovan McNabb worm balls for sure. We haven't seen a lot of them in years. To wide open receivers. One was in the end zone standing there like this. and he threw the ball at the guy's feet. It was crazy. But they played the Dallas Cowboys, and when you play the Dallas Cowboys, you don't need to throw the ball. You just run it, okay? So Lamar, 13 carries, 94 yards, 1 touchdown. If Derrick Henry only ran the ball 13 times and got 94 yards, I'd be like, yes, Derrick Henry, that's right. This is Lamar Jackson, okay? 13 carries, 94 yards, a touchdown. Gus Edwards, 7 carries, 101 yards. Are you kidding me? J.K. Dobbins, who should be starting, but again, just like the Rams, the Ravens don't want to commit to one guy. He carried the ball 11 times for 71 yards and a touchdown. Are you kidding me? Ingram can't even get in the game. He had 6 carries for 28. He's the old man. But if they can't run the ball, they're in trouble. And what did the Browns do to the Titans? They held Derrick Henry to 60. And if you can hold Derrick Henry to 60, I'm not saying you can stop the Ravens' run game because Lamar is that X factor, okay? But you should be able to impose your will on them a little bit, especially if you come in with that mindset that we're just not going to let them run all over us. And if they do that, and if Baker comes with his head screwed on right, I'm taking the Browns.
Could it be last week that the Browns got that one guy came back and made a difference? Remember that conversation last week?
No, but Myles Garrett was already back. Who? They got somebody else back? Because Myles Garrett was already back.
Well, that's all they needed. That's
no.
why,
No, they played well across the front. He couldn't. There was nothing for him.
So you're going against the bias again. I believe you are in the majority against the bias. I can't remember the time that you've actually done that.
I can't either, and it wasn't planned. Again, now that we're using this new format now, I look at my notes, and then I go back over them again when I talk to you about them here on the video, and that's when I make my decision. Sometimes they're easy. I'm automatically leaning one way or the other. Sometimes I talk myself out of it, but I haven't written down the bias until you show me what it is. So it is what it is.
Between the Sunday night and the Monday night game, I have 2 potential intriguing games of the week there. And there's maybe one more. Let me see that I was looking at. I think the Colts Raiders is a very interesting game. I was very interested in the Falcons and the Chargers.
How about Patriots Rams?
Yeah, Patriots Rams would be interesting. I usually don't go with Thursday night because I don't have the time to write something before that, but that is an interesting game. The Bucks and the Vikings I find interesting. And the Cardinals Giants, I think it's an interesting game, to be quite honest with you.
Nah.
Man, them Giants is coming after him, man. And then if, like you said, if Kyler can't be Kyler, that's a problem. I've heard whispers that the opposing coach is starting to figure out the air raid a little bit. So,
really?
Yeah, we'll have to keep your eye out for that. Keep your eye out for that.
Okay. They're pulling out that old college game film.
They will. They will.
Yeah.
And right now they have enough actual game film.
Right. They got game film on him in the pros, and they have game film on him in college, and they have game film to follow that coach and the coach that he mentored under. Does that make sense? Can you mentor under somebody?
Yeah, that's fine.
Kind of like an oxymoron.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's plenty of film to look at if you want to study the air raid. And, when they were having success, I would think, you know what? We might need to look at this air raid a little bit and figure this thing out.
Make sure we know what's going on.
So yeah, that could be a problem for the Cardinals.
Well, speaking of problems, let's see here. Finishing up with the Ravens and the Browns. You are taking the Browns, right?
That is correct.
All right. So that wraps up this week's Bias Plus report. Let's just talk about the bias buster of week 13. Congratulations to the New England Patriots. Unfavorable bias plus score of 0.3. So they didn't have a lot going against them in the beginning, but that 45-point whooping that they put on those guys was enough to put them at the top of the net scores, and the bias plus buster score 45.3 goes to the New England Patriots as the bias plus buster of the week. So I might do the bias numbers again. They're straight numbers, no opinion, no conjecture. It is what it is. And if you've ever had some bias going against you in life and you succeeded, you were a bias buster. Congratulations, and congratulations to the New England Patriots.